And here it is, we go again. So here it is, we go again. So we're making this video now in reaction to recently granted the Deji Adeyanju interview with Seun Okinbaloye. Deji Adeyanju, of course, his voice being quiet in our contemporary politics for quite a while now. So he has resurfaced in an interaction with Seun Okinbaloye. So we'll be reacting to that interaction. So let me load it up now without further ado, and then let's hear then what Deji has to say and what we are making of it. So here is Deji Adeyanju interacting with Seun Okinbaloye. So watch this.
It was inevitable that what happened at the presidential election was exactly going to happen. I predicted it because you can't have a divided opposition and expect one of them to win. Just look at what was Kwankwaso doing like that in Kano.
All right, let me just pause it there for a moment. I promise not to pause it too often, but I necessarily must pause it there for that moment, because what Deji just said there is what all of the thinking mind think about what just transpired in the recently gone elections. So now, what Deji is saying is that you cannot have a divided opposition and have the expectation to win an election. So now we have two juggernaut parties within the Nigerian space traditionally. We had the PDP, which was the largest party in Africa up till 2014, 2015. And then we had an offshoot of the PDP plus a conglomeration or a configuration, an amalgamation of other political interests to form another juggernaut entity called the APC. So the APC wrestled power of the PD. I'm just giving you the backdrop really to give a better understanding of what Deji is just saying there. So the APC then formed that juggernaut party to wrestle power of the PDP. So now 2 times, now 3 times now, they've been able to hold on to that power. But now, in this now third attempt at holding on to the power and it being wrestled off them, the PDP remains the major opposition party. But the PDP is no longer that juggernaut, biggest party in Africa that it traditionally was. It hemorrhaged into several factions. So there was a faction that went to form the new Nigeria People's Party, which was the which is the Kwakwanso faction. And then there was another faction that really cut really deep into the PDP and took a vast swathe of their traditional guaranteed voting blocks away from them. That was the Eastern Bloc that was moved away by Peter Obi. So now what you now had as a juggernaut party that was going to give the APC sleepless nights had now hemorrhaged into smaller chunks of pockets of fists. So now this now pocket of fist, by fist, F-I-S-T, like a clenched hand. So they've now formed off into this now potent but smaller pockets. So now what Deji Adeyanju is inviting is that you cannot have this small pocket now that the opposition has hemorrhaged into come and challenge the juggernaut that is the APC. So by that, really, he's telling you then that they just gifted Tinubu that presidency. But let's listen to him in his own words.
Can't have a divided opposition and expect one of them to win. Just look at what was Kwankwaso doing like that in Kano. What did Obi think it was? What was Obi thinking? What was also Atiku thinking, that they would defeat the incumbent by all those shenanigans? There's no way. So the opposition handed over this victory to Bola Tinubu. Nobody else, not the citizens, not the INEC officials who were scared of thugs at polling units or anything. It's the opposition that did this to Nigeria, and nobody else. Most regrettable, especially as regards to the subject matter of today's discussion, is the use of religion for politics and ethnicity as well. For me, I'm particularly very unhappy with the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi. He started all these things. And yeah.
And by the way, yeah, it is quite surprising, really, that somebody like Peter Obi will be the one that had leveraged religion the most in the course of these elections. And I don't think there can be too much pushback against that as a statement. Peter Obi, because all of the criticism throughout the whole of the campaigning was how Peter Obi was pulpit hopping from one church to another. They'll say, oh, he was invited. Will he say no? He was pulpit hopping from one church to another. And he pretty much ran his campaign, the entirety of it, at least the majority of it, in church halls. And often he will say, church, take back your country. So the person that religionized this election the most, surprisingly, and I'm saying surprisingly because you would think that the Muslim faith are more fanatical towards their religion, and they propel more towards they propel more with religion. But in this instance, it's actually the fanaticism was actually coming from the Christian faith via the portal of Peter Obi. But let's listen on.
There have been quiet and tactical use of religion prior to now within our polity, but it has been very silent and never has it ever been this obvious. But Peter spent 7 months going from one church to the other, and he not only did he stop there, he went looking for endorsement from Khan. He was so desperate about looking for.
But was he the only one?
Oh yeah. In this election,
is there anything wrong in consulting religious leaders? If does the law forbid it?
Yes, section 97 of the Electoral Act forbids use of religion of any kind. You cannot have a presidential candidate going to churches and saying church should take back their country, and he's contesting for election. If Atiku had gone around all the mosques since August last year, spent 7 months going around mosques all over the country campaigning, wouldn't the whole country go almost in flames condemning?
All right. Pause for a moment and reflect on that point. If Atiku had used the strategy of Peter Obi, going from one mosque to the next madras, asking that the Islamic faith take the country, what would your reaction be? The whole country would have gone aflame. It's only because Peter Obi is a Easterner and a Christian that they gave him that soft pathway. He campaigned quite fervently on especially religion. There's no we all saw it anyway, so there's no deny. All the receipts are all over the media space. Church, take back your country. From one pulpit to the other, church, take back your country. Church, take back your country. And then he crescendoed on that Oyedepo now exposed audio. This is a religious war. So it was entirely religion at the campaigning of Peter Obi.
So it cannot be because it is Peter and he's a Christian and I'm a Christian, I should not condemn him. If Atiku does it, I'll condemn him. Peter has done it. He has set a bad precedent for the country. We have seen Reverend Fathers campaigning openly with Peter Obi's picture, logo of his party, threatening their congregants that if they don't vote for Peter, God is going to visit evil punishment upon them. They will die. Those things are wrong. It is what has compelled many people up north to, at the last hour, to also try to use religion, because you cannot have a leading presidential candidate who spent 7 months in an election moving from Cherubim and Seraphim to Catholic Church to Pentecostal to Dunamis to this to everywhere, and he recruited pastors all over the country. In Jos, look at that pastor in Jos. They recruited pastors in Nasarawa all over the country to be campaigning for him. It's very bad. And aside the use of religion that Peter Obi did, he went further. Everywhere he went to in the north, he went to Southern Borno, Southern Gombe. If he goes to Kano, he goes to Sabongeri, where members of his ethnic tribe is. Who does that? He goes to Lagos, go to Alaba Market. I don't know why people want to, strategic. They are not mindful of their actions. They don't know that actions have consequences. And so it is on purpose. And when many of us criticize him, his supporters, who are extremely close to him, who are always with him, they'll say the defense they put up is that he's only trying to energize his base. So,
all right. Let me. I'm going to. Sorry, I'm talking about the.
How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me, even as a Christian. How
All right, I'm going to pause him there for a moment because I was actually searching for something in the course of Deji speaking just then. I need you to hear this. So they will tell you deep fake and whatnot. So perhaps this is deep fake too. So listen to this. Listen to this. This is Peter Obi in the course of his campaigning. So listen to this. Let me just take it back. Let me take it back here. All right, listen to this.
It must be by capacity and commitment. This is a job that requires physical and mental energy. And we must get it right. And that is what we're asking. The church must be at the forefront. Our children cannot continue like this. There's no offense they're committed by being Nigerians. Nigerians are the best you can get in the world. And we have the energy to change this world. All we lack is that we have criminals who have hijacked this country, stealing everything away, and we are keeping quiet. Please, the church, wake up, take back your country. God bless you.
So there it is right there. So church, listen, wake up, take back your country. So whether that also is deep fake or deeper life or deep dive or whatever it is, yeah, you heard him in his own words. Church, take back your country. So there is no, I don't think the most fervent of obedience. Sorry, I'm going to scroll Deji back a little bit because I was distracted somewhat whilst I was searching for that clip. There is no equivocation that Peter Obi campaigned almost to the 70%, if not 80%, entirely around religion. From one church pulpit to the next, the message was the same: church, take back your country. And this is what Deji is speaking to. Let's listen on.
And he recruited pastors all over the country. In Jos, look at that pastor in Jos. They recruited pastors in Nasarawa all over the country to be campaigning for him. It's very bad. And aside the use of religion that Peter Obi did, he went further. Everywhere he went to in the north, he went to Southern Borno, Southern Gombe. If he goes to Kano, he goes to Sabongeri, where members of his ethnic tribe is. Who does that? He goes to Lagos, go to Alaba Market. I don't know why people become so, very unstrategic. They are not mindful of their actions. They do not know that actions have consequences. And so he did this on purpose. And when many of us criticize him, his supporters, who are extremely close to him, who are always with him, snapping pictures, the defense they put up is that he's only trying to energize his base. So because he did not have structure, he wanted to use structure of the church to become president of Nigeria. How does that make sense?
So, as you can hear from Deji, it is the received wisdom and really the clear understanding of everybody that Peter Obi campaigns predominantly on religion. I think we can all agree that whether you are the most ardent obedient, the most hardcore of obedience, that no, this is a Nigerian project and all that, whether you believe it's a Nigerian project or not, the proportion of Peter Obi's campaign was wrapped largely to the high percentages around religion. We also saw it, the criticism of him hopping from one pulpit to another.
It doesn't make sense to me who as a Christian. How can you want to use structure of the church to become president of a multi-religious, you want to use structure of tribe to become president of a multi-ethnic and multicultural society like Nigeria? So this is an unserious president. He was never serious as a presidential candidate. The most painful part is that he has brought so much stain to Christianity and so much stain to the issue of tribal politics. And that is why you can now...
All right, so Deji saying there that Peter Obi has brought so much stain to, I'm not sure you can bring stain to Christianity, because I think Christianity is bigger than Peter Obi, and I hope even the most ardent obedient concedes that. But he also said that, sorry, what did he just say there? He said he has also bought, let's just listen again.
Politics. And that is why you can now see the issue of tribal politics. And that is why you can now...
he also said he has brought stain to the issues of tribal politics. I'm not sure that he has brought stain to the issues of tribal politics, But what Peter Obi has succeeded in doing, if there's any positives to be taken from it, or anything that needs to be worked on for the future to be taken of the whole Peter Obi cameo, is that he has highlighted the ethnic fault lines, the tribal fault lines of the Nigerian space, which we always knew was there, but we never knew it was there at this level that is manifesting now. So Peter Obi has highlighted really how deep the tribal fault lines within the Nigerian experience is. So this is what he has highlighted, but how do we address it?
See the momentum with which politicians are now campaigning. Look at in Kaduna, they are openly recruiting imams now for the gubernatorial election in Kaduna. Openly, there is a letter where a memo leaked where I think it's from the Kaduna State government where Malams have been paid to campaign for Muslim allegedly in Kaduna. Then in Lagos, politics of tribe. People are now saying you are not Lagos is no man's land. Lagos belongs to Yorubas. This and that. So Peter set the template for this, and this is why we keep telling politicians.
And there is no equivocation that Peter Obi did set the template for that, because we've always had the tribal fault lines. We all concede that. We've always known that there was always a tribal undertone to the Nigerian political space. But the only new paradigm in the political space now is Peter Obi, because everything else is traditional politics. Tinubu is traditional politics. Atiku is traditional politics. Kwakwazo is traditional politics as well. And Peter Obi is traditional politics, but the pivoting of this narrative that he has brought is a new dynamism to the political space. But this new dynamism now, it propels on the tilt that the Adeyanju is talking about. That ethnicity, that ethnophobe sort of thing that has now become now so harsh within the Nigerian space. So the new thing that added to the mix now is Peter Obi, and this has what have flashed up that space. So the attribution then is to that Obi space, because we did not have this high octane tribal chasm within the Nigerian paradigm until Peter Obi became a factor. But let's listen on.
Yes, we know that politicians generally don't care about the country. All they care about is, the end justifies the means. As long as they are able to use religion, ethnicity, whatever, tribe to drive home their point, they don't care even if the country burns to the ground. However, the irreducible minimums, in any democratic contest, is that you don't divide the populace, that even if you win the election, you cannot govern. And that is really sad for someone like me that has witnessed, I've actively voted since 1999, and it's only in 2019 when Buhari locked me up because they didn't want me to vote that I have not voted. So I do not understand why Peter became so desperate, that he went as far as using tribe and religion to canvass for votes all across Nigeria.
I mean, you keep hammering on Peter Obi, but he was not the only one in the race. He was not the only one who met with Khan. He was not the only one who met with priests. He was not the only one who met with imams.
Yes. So
do you have any personal thing against him?
Well, basically, did you see Atiku moving from church to church for 7 months? Did you see even Kwankwaso visit any mosque? The reason why people say, "Oh, I said Peter will not win more than 2 states," that now he has won more than 2 states. Why?
Right. Apologies. I lost connection for a moment, so you might find a jump in this thing. So, or maybe it goes back a little bit, but I lost connection, so I'll pick it up from where I think I left off. So let's pick it up from this spot. Let's bring Deji back on and continue to listen on. So here is Deji Adeyanju, as I said, reacting to the elections just gone. So we listen on.
Those are not his votes. Those are votes for the church. Those are. I said Peter will not win more than 2 states. That now he has won more than 2 states. Why? I say if he wins more than 2 states, I will respect him. The reason why I can never respect somebody that uses religion and tribe to campaign is because those are not his votes. Those are votes for the church. Those are votes of those bishops and those reverends, those pastors that were threatening.
And by the way, to this space that they are speaking to, it's quite a real space, you know, because a lot of the a lot of the votes that Peter Obi garnered, a lot of people argue that they were not Peter Obi votes. They were either votes for pecuniary interest, like Deji is just describing now, votes for the church, etc., or they were anti-votes, ANTI, anti-votes. So a lot of the vote, some people will actually attribute to about 70% of the votes that Peter Obi did get. They were not necessarily an endorsement of Peter Obi having the capacity to do anything. No, a lot of those votes were the anti-Muslim Muslim ticket votes, so which found a home with Peter Obi. So that's not an endorsement of Peter Obi's credentials to govern. It was a protest vote against the Muslim ticket. So there's that. There was the anti-Tinubu vote. A lot of people that have bought into the narrative, true or false, of who Tinubu is, and they did not want him. So a lot of them were not voting for Peter Obi's capacity, they were voting against Tinubu. A lot of the anti-Buhari votes were not necessarily an endorsement of Peter Obi, but an anti-Tinubu vote. And a lot of the anti-APC votes were not necessarily endorsement of Peter Obi, they were anti-APC votes. A lot of the fuel scarcity, Naira policy anti-votes, they were not an endorsement of Peter Obi's capacity to do anything. They were votes against those policy positions. So a lot of ANTI, a lot of anti-votes went to the Peter Obi space because those votes, they could not find a home with somebody like Atiku Abubakar or Kwakwanso, who is like an extreme north. So they just by osmosis had to land with Peter Obi. So a lot, people will say 70, maybe even 80% of the votes that Peter Obi garnered were not an endorsement of him, but a protest vote against one thing or the other. But let's listen on.
Their members that they must vote Peter. I respect Kwankwaso more because Kwankwaso did not visit one mosque to campaign. You know, Kwankwaso had 1 million votes, but he has money and he produced 18 members of House of Reps. He has my respect more than Peter Obi. There's nothing personal. If I see somebody doing anything wrong, if Atiku had spent 7 months going around mosque, I would be more critical of Atiku than I have been of Peter. Considering the fact that I'm even a Christian. So for me criticizing Peter, it means that Peter has done something very wrong that he shouldn't have done. He knows in his heart of heart that he shouldn't have done this kind of campaign.
Oh, okay, and there it is. So, okay, and there it is. So, okay, and there it is. So that is Deji Adeyanju's take on the elections just now recently gone. So a lot of it is what a lot of thinking people actually think. The Peter Obi narrative, very complex. A lot of it wrapped around religion, a majority of it wrapped around religion, quite a bit of it wrapped around ethnicity as well. So the two stilts that the Peter Obi narrative largely ran on was ethnicity and religion. And then, of course, a bit of anti-votes as well. So ethnicity, religion, and anti-votes, protest votes. So those were the tripods that Peter Obi ran on. Anti-votes, anti-Tinubu, anti-APC, anti-this, and anti-the other. So a lot of that he propelled on. And then a lot of the religious thing, because of course Tinubu gifted him with the Muslim ticket that he presented. So he ran that on the church take back your country narrative, of course. So he did a lot of that, and a lot of ethnicity played out as well, because of course we saw that in the voting figures from the southeast. So that is Deji Adeyanju's take on the elections now just recently gone. So come share thoughts about what Deji has to say. Do you agree or disagree? Keep the language civil, I implore, but I have no expectation that it will be civil. But I leave it here. Carry the conversation on within the comment section. But here I say peace.